Welcome to the Startup Grind.
I would just say how I met Meiling. She was at TEDx talk, and I just approached her and said, "Hey, I would like the opportunity to interview you." And she said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. This is my card. Reach out to me whenever you get a chance." Reached out to her about a month ago, 2 months ago, yeah. And she said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Came here, and she loved the idea, and she said, "Yeah, I would love the opportunity to talk to you and talk to other people about her journey to success." And one of the things that really amazed me was just how nice she was. I mean, no, I'm very serious.
Well, you just dispelled the myth about me being inaccessible, or that people are sort of intimidated by me. So you have to tell them that I'm not. I think I spoke to all of them.
Okay.
Because recently, I have to tell you, and I'm interrupting you here because this is very important. I've been trying to find out why people don't walk through the doors. Well, we know people are shopping online, there are more designers, but one of the things that came to us is that people are intimidated by me. And I sat and I thought about it. I said, why would they be intimidated by me? And I'm bringing this up because of what you said yesterday.
Yeah, it's a conversation.
I think it's my look, that I wear only black. I think it's the glasses, the very severe hair. And in a way, when I walk into a room, like I look straight ahead, I make eye contact with whoever, if I'm speaking with you, I always make eye contact, which I think is important. But once they cross that door and they open that one, he said to me, "My God, I love your energy." I had a young woman come to the first time and she said, her mom rang me today and said, "Oh my God, you're such a warm person. You know, everybody said I was always so scared to pick up the phone and make an..." So
Right.
I'm glad that you told me that yesterday.
Right.
You said
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I was...
But let me ask that question. So do you think fashion designers, upcoming fashion designers, should try to choose like an aloof brand, or should they just...
Be yourself.
Okay.
Be yourself. I know it's you know, they say like most fashion designers wear black. And most fashion designers think a lot of themselves or are arrogant. Or I just think you have to be yourself. I mean, you can create an image for yourself. This image of mine only wearing black wasn't created because I was a fashion designer. I used to wear color. Up to about 25, 30 years ago, I used to wear color. But guess what happened? I get up every morning. I had all colors in my wardrobe. And I'd put on like a pink shirt. I take it off. Put on a blue shirt. I take it off. And I kept going back to the black shirt and the black trousers. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to simplify my life. I work in fashion. So let me think. I get up in the morning. It's which pink shirt, which black trousers, and maybe a bangle. The shoes can change. The glasses. I call these spectacles my earrings because I never take these off. So this is what. So it just came about by that. Also, too, my fitting room, which you can visit after, is very small. So when I fit a client, I want to like fade into the background and just see my hands or see my fitter. I don't want to be competing with whatever I'm fitting. So black made a lot of sense. Plus, I always felt more confident in black. So this is how the
That's how you got black.
So
Okay.
I think you can create. It's always good for a designer to have a signature, or any woman to have their signature. It may be your earrings, it may be your shoes, it may be your handbag. But I don't think they should go out. I don't think it should be contrived. I think it should come naturally to you. And a lot of you are young, and I went through all sorts of phases. I was a flower child in the 60s in London, and then I went on to something else, and this is what I am today.
All right.
And I think it's very severe, but I like it. And I think it echoes what my tagline says, less is more.
More. Right. You did, yeah, right. Tell us, I saw a statement you said, "I don't believe in fashion, I believe in style."
Absolutely. When I say I don't believe in fashion, I do fashion. I don't believe in being a fashion victim. I don't believe in a woman jumping onto every trend that happens. I believe in style. Style is something that's inherent, is within you, and style is not what you wear. Style is your lifestyle. Style is the sheets that you sleep on. Style is the flowers in your home. Style is how you have a meal. Style is everything, and this is what I believe, and it transcends into all that you do in life. So I don't feel that, of course I do fashion, but I beg women not to be fashion victims. And I think right now, you know, I see so many people, women, or, you know, inappropriate to their body, inappropriate to the event, inappropriate to their age, just inappropriate. Yeah, so I believe in style. I believe a woman's style will shine through anything else. She can have on the simplest, but if she has style, she has style.
Okay.
And you can develop it.
You mentioned just now style is what you eat. What's your favorite breakfast?
Did you read my book? My favorite breakfast, every morning I have a bowl of steamed okras or steamed greens. I'm very much into health
All right.
and no carbs, but for years I get up and every morning, twice a week or 3 times a week I might have a boiled egg, but every
Right.
morning I have a bowl of steamed okras.
Okay. So that's your morning. That's how your morning starts. Tell us what time you start in the morning.
Well,
How
my
does your
morning
day go?
starts at, my alarm clock goes at 4:15. Where, because a lot of my staff, because they work out of town, start at 6. They want to come in here at 6. So at 4:15 my alarm goes and I might say, oh, another 15 minutes. But then I get up and I have to do my meditation and prayer for 45 minutes. Then I dress, put on the coffee, and I open my door, usually 6:45. And I have that, sometimes they're here even before me. So when I go into production. I plan every day the day before what I'm going to do, so it's not a surprise. I look at my diary, I spend some time with my staff, we plan the day, we know what everyone is doing, and that's how the day starts.
All right. Okay. Okay.
And sometimes I fit as early as 6:30 in the morning because I have clients who come from San Fernando, so they'd come down, they'd fit, and then they'd head back up.
So a lot of us here
But then I have to say too, coming to work is just opening the door. Coming to work is no traffic, no anything. So then, you know.
a lot of us here are entrepreneurs and trying to get into the fashion industry or growing in the fashion industry, and we'll meet a lot of challenges. With your experience, what is the biggest challenge you have had so far?
You know, I knew this was going to be one of the questions, and something just came to me that I had totally forgotten about. In my good friend Nancy might tell me, 1974, maybe 74, maybe 74, 75. I was going, my show was being done at the Hilton. My shop was 78. My shop was at Janura's downtown. Janura's where Francis Fashion, I think, is at the corner of Janura's, corner of Henry and Queen Street.
Right.
There was a big building. It was like a fashion building. There was a fabulous fabric shop that Janura's Custom Design had. Then you went upstairs, there was my shop. Then my sister had a baby shop. Then there was a shoe and handbag shop. It was a fabulous building. There was a home shop downstairs. And I went up to the Hilton because that's where my show was going to be. And I usually moved my clothes up at like 1 or 2. The models were there, everything. And when I got to the ballroom of the Hilton, you know the Hilton looks over Portersfield. I saw all the smoke coming out of Portersfield, and I found out my shop was on fire. There was a huge fire that started in the People's Mall. That is when the People's Mall was burned down, and it spread and took many shops with it. And there was I showing my collection. The show had to go on, and this is what for the show has to go on.
Interesting.
Nothing stops the show. Put on a brave face. I thought I'll deal with that after. I had the show. I was married at the time. My husband had planned a fabulous dinner for me for just a few people. I went to the dinner and I said, what is plan B? My first concern, and I'm not trying to be like a saint now, but my first concern is I could not send home my staff. I was producing hair, but what happened? What are they going to do? So I moved the entire collection to my home, and we sold out of hair.
Okay.
And I decided, I can't even remember where I went to, and then started looking for another shop. That was a huge challenge. But I could have just like stopped everything or got up the next morning and said, woe is me. I said, no, I have to go on. It's not going to take me down. And throughout life, there have been many, many challenges, financial challenges, challenges that you're not meeting orders, fabrics don't come in on time, and you have to produce many, many challenges. But what you always have to have a plan B and sometimes a plan C.
Fancy, right?
Yes. So that was one of the big challenges, that that and funnily enough, it only came to me when I was sitting here.
Yes,
I
huh?
like forgotten about it. Yeah.
You said you were at the Hilton showing
Yeah.
your designs. Do you remember your first customer?
I started
Because you started very young, you were
very,
always
very
around
young.
fabric,
I just
always
come
around
back from
designs.
London. I just come back. I studied in London, and I worked. My mother. I grew up in fashion. I literally knew at the age of 11 that I wanted to be a fashion designer. I remember clearly writing an essay because my mother was one of Trinidad's top couturiers. She was a couturier, and I grew up in her sewing room. I was always dressing my dolls.
Right.
I always wanted skinny dolls. So I had this feeling that I always wanted models. In some way, I knew that that's what I wanted. So I was always dressing my dolls, and then my mother started letting me bead, and I was always interested. I knew fabrics. Every magazine that came in caught my eye. And then I said I wanted to work to do fashion. My father couldn't understand. He was an academic. He couldn't understand how would I make money? How would I live?
All right.
My mother, I think, was living vicariously through me. This is what she wanted to do, so she pushed for me to go to London. My father said, you can do it, but you have to go to London, not to America, because he is very
British.
British. So I went. I did not go to art school, but I went there with a wealth of knowledge and a talent, a God-given talent, because I feel that you could want to be a designer, you could want to be a singer, or you could want to be whatever, but you have to have that talent. So I came back was in London at one of the most exciting times for fashion. It was a turn of the whole fashion revolution. The Beatles, I told you I was a flower child, the Stones, Otis Redding. I had an amazing time in London because it was the miniskirt, Mary Quant, Vidal Sassoon, the new geometric hair, everything. It was the most exciting time. So can you imagine 4 years later coming back to Trinidad? I think I cried for a year. One, because I thought I was this big woman living in an apartment. Two, having to come back to Trinidad, where Trinidad is like 10 years behind the fashion that I left in London. But my mother it was a lot of discipline in my home, and my mother says, you're not going to come and join my sewing room, you're going to go and get a job. Now, there was an industry at that time. There were many, many factories, but not factories that were creatively up to the moment in fashion. So I went out with my portfolio and found a job where I was starting as a pattern maker, a sample hand, everything. I did everything. But that was one of I think I had was really, taught me how to run my own factory, being in that environment. For the first few months, every design of mine was thrown out the window because it was too fashion forward, until I did this coat dress which was very classic, and they just made thousands and thousands, because Trinidad then there was a negative list. You could not bring clothing into Trinidad. So I was there, I worked, and then suddenly I decided I wanted to go back. I wanted to go out on my own. With $1,000, I always remember, I started my own business in a small room, probably as small as my shop. And whatever Meiling success, whatever my success is, I would say, besides the talent, it was the timing. I didn't have the competition that you will have today, because there were no designers in Trinidad. There were 2 boutiques that brought in, and there was one other designer, much older than I was. So the timing was right, but I couldn't just say the timing is right because my peers were coming back and wanted fashion of what they left in New York or they left in London. So they all came to me, like how you have all your fans coming to you now, the fashion student. But that wasn't enough. I still had to work very, very hard to be whatever I am today. I still did 2 collections starting. I eventually did 2 collections a year. Just really, really, especially now in fashion, everything is so transient. Everything is quick changing. So you can't really, I can't say, oh, well, I'm the Caribbean's best designer. I have this award, I have that award. I still have to work very hard every day.
Right. You spoke just now about you starting with $1,000. What's the best advice you got during the hard times when you were starting?
I think best advice, I don't know if it was advice, because I tell you that, I mean, you know, creative people, I don't know if you all agree with me, creative people don't like to look at figures. Creative people don't want that part. And I was blessed that I had a father who I didn't have to think what the bottom line was. Not that he had the money, but he would work out the maths. Because I came from a very humble home. I didn't have a car. I didn't, you know, I traveled up and down town in a taxi. I was, you know, it wasn't like a privileged home. I came from a comfortable home with a lot of love, and a lot of my parents believed in me, and they were very, very supportive, proud. My mother, being a fashion, understood where I was coming from. She was one of my hardest taskmasters, so she merely made that I had to do the work. My father really took on the business, and I think I'm still learning, and that's a part of the business. I mean, I've been blessed. I've had good managers, I have not good managers, I have horrible managers. So I think the advice was just to be, you know what the advice was to me? That I had to work, that I had to get up every morning and work, and I had to earn my living, and I had to not say that I'm the best, and I had to continue and try to get better, which I'm still trying to do today, and think out of the box. That was the best advice, because I felt that if my business had to grow, I could not be sloppy, I could not be tardy, I could not be unproductive. I couldn't go to a party and say, oh, I'm not going to work. Whatever time I get up, come home at night. Now if I travel, if I go out and I come home late, I'm up in my office.
Right.
I was saying today to someone, the only time my staff don't see me is if I'm out of the country. Or if I have to be really ill, and that really happens.
Right.
So I think the best advice I got is that nothing in life comes easy, and that you have to work for whatever you want in life. And with creative people, you have to work even harder, now especially.
What advice would you give for people who are trying to market? You said earlier on that it's very competitive now.
Yeah.
So the marketing strategies that you used before will be different now. One, talk about like how different it is, and of course there'll be different challenges, but what advice do you give to upcoming fashion entrepreneurs of breaking into the industry today?
I was speaking to a young lady earlier on, and I want to preface this by saying that, which I spoke about a lot, that I see young people, and I taught for a little while at UTT, just preparing the BA students, and I see it all the time, that I find that they don't want to do the work. And again, I'm just not going to be blowing my own trumpet. I can only tell you from experience. Everybody wants to be, you arrive at an event and the paparazzi are there, and you're on Facebook, and you're on Twitter, and you're on Instagram, and there are a million selfies that I get sick of, and everybody wants to be, and it's all about you, and this, and that, and the other, but there's nothing to back up the work. For many, many years, I did the work and people didn't have a face to me. Until one young woman came to work with me, because invitations came and still come from everywhere, from embassies, from this, from that, to go out. If I wanted to go out every night. And Nyla used to come to me and say, you have to go to this. And I would say, she said, because you have to network, people have to know you. And I was glad in a way, because they didn't really have a face. I mean, they would have a fleeting face, but they wouldn't see a social face. And eventually, when I felt that I had done the work and I had earned whatever, I started going out, and I used to say to her, Nyla, I'm going out, but I'm not staying late. And I still say that. Nyla, I'm going, but I'm not staying late, right? So what I'm saying to you, that build the brand first. Let you have social media, which I didn't have, so you can put your work out there. Now don't put you out there. Put the work, put the garment, put the shirt, put the dress. But let's, right now I'm on Instagram. I'm a big Instagram one, because I do like this. I'm about to delete so many people because I'm sick of seeing them. I'm sick of knowing what they eat and what they I'm seeing them and not seeing their work. I want to see their work. And when I see some of the work, they do one collection and suddenly they have become big. And don't believe your own reviews. And don't believe every blogger's review. Ciola is one blogger that I really admire, and Darcel, because it's coming from a good point of view. It's not about just saying, I like this one and I don't like this one. I feel that this is my thing about social media now, that I feel that there are a lot of bloggers out there who feel they can say yay or nay to a designer. They can say you can make it, and they don't know what is a, I'm talking for the fashion people will understand, they don't know what is a gore from a pleat, from a tuck from a gather, from a button to a bead, but they want to bless you or throw you away, and that's my problem. But back to the question that you asked, is that I feel that you have to use social media, but you have to use social media in a conscious way of promoting your work. But do the work before you start to promote it. So don't promote a skirt that when you look at the skirt, the zip doesn't, the zip is exposed, or it's not finished properly inside. I'm saying because, or don't start saying that you are the best. Even if you've got a great, you're only as good as your last collection. Eh? My next collection may bomb. I've done collections that I've sat back and said I'm not happy with it. And you have to be your biggest critic, or have someone who can, and it's not personal. I know creative people are very sensitive, and you don't want, you kind of, you get very defensive, but listen, there must be someone that you value their opinion. And now I'm thinking that all these people who are not in fashion must be so bored.
No, I want to ask a good question about business. Have you ever thought about selling your clothing line?
When you say selling, oh, the line?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
selling the
right
brand.
I won't sell the brand. Right now I'm looking for new investors. I would like to grow the brand, but I think I wouldn't. You read about so many people, internationally, who sell their brand. Jill Sanders sold her brand and lived to regret it. She bought it back and sold it and got out of the business. Because sometimes when you sell a brand, you lose all control.
Right.
It can work for the brand, and it can work for, I suppose, Charles, who is my financial advisor. If I sold the brand, I would keep majority shares, would I?
It depends on what you negotiate.
Okay, good. So you need a good business person to negotiate for you.
Talking about that, so you talk about Charles being part of your team. How do you advise fashion designers to find other people within the business industry to help them along build a brand / company?
But what I've been encouraging, and I spoke to the young lady from The Guardian, and she thought it was a great idea. Okay, we didn't have a fashion school before, and you would see designers who studied abroad, a few coming. Now you have, how many came out from the last BA class? How many designers came out? How many people graduated? 20, 30? A lot. First begin, there really is no industry in Trinidad. When I came back, there was an industry. There were many factories with women who are willing to sit at machines and sew. Right now, it's a dying trade. The women who work with me, some of them have been with me for 30 or 40 years, and I was talking about what happens when they leave. So what I have encouraged a lot of not everyone can be a designer. Everybody has their strengths. So I've been encouraging the students that come to me to form groups. So in a group you have 4, and some of them are already successfully doing it. I might be strong on social media and marketing. You may be the most creative head. You may be extremely good at construction. And you may have some other skill that works. You might be very good at at keeping the books, the financials, whatever.
Right.
Come together in groups and form your brand, because they're not enough people to make your garments. 2, how many consumers there are, because you're not up against each other. You're also up against everything coming in from China, everything coming in somebody's suitcase. You're up against that. You're up against, which I have learned, and sadly I have to say that everybody's shopping online. So that is one bit of advice. The other bit of advice, and it is already working, I could see, because a lot of interns, and whoever wants to speak with me after, I'm always willing to help. As I was saying, my legacy, I would like my legacy is that Meiling changed Caribbean fashion in some way. And the second thing, that 6 Carlo Street was an open door for any creative, and that I helped open the door for many young designers after me.
Good.
So what I've encouraged, and I've seen it working before, this year, I had 4 interns who are now designers. for the first time this year, I got something that I jumped at to work on a movie, plan the movie, and to design the costuming, and it was a period piece. So I pulled these 4 young interns in to work, and they did an amazing job, because the director who came from Belgium said that our department was the best department. It was a lot of work. But these were interns who worked with me for 2 months, and the day they started filming, I had to go to either New York or LA for Fashion Week, and they did an amazing job. But that was one area that they could have gotten into. The film industry in Trinidad is growing by leaps and bounds every day. So that is another way they can use their skill. They could be designing for stage, costuming movies, costuming films, stage production. I've worked with Three Canal for the 12 years they've been doing their carnival show, and those same interns work so much so. 2 young interns said to me today, after working on this, and they're thinking of going abroad to do fashion, they're thinking they're going to go and study costume design. Because we come from a carnival, an island that has the best carnival, which we have lost. I have worked with Minshall for many, many years. Minshall, I would say, is my second teacher after my mother, because I didn't study costume, and I've learned so much from him. They worked on a production for Minshall earlier this year.
Right.
So this is another way. So everybody wants to be a fashion designer, but you have to think that we live on a small island, and think of new ways, and think of ways how you could come together in groups, which I really think is the way to go. That 4 of you could get together and you could build a brand. So if you just spoke about your friend is a merchandiser, and come together and start working. Not everyone could go out on their own.
Right. If you had to start again today, of course there's social media.
I knew this question was
Yeah. There's the social media, there's everything. I wouldn't say what you'll do differently, but do you think you could be the same brand you are today X number of years later?
I would tell you this. If I came today with social media, I would be a bigger brand. I would not be in Trinidad. I would not be in Trinidad. Trinidad is my home, and I love Trinidad. Right now I don't love Trinidad too much. But I would be here, but I would be exporting, or I would have worked after school. I would have worked for a longer time abroad.
Right.
I met, and this is interesting, you should ask this question. I was at the one party, I went to a carnival at Anya's party, and I was looking around, and we were talking about social media and the young people, and I said to this gentleman who was a little younger than I am, and I said to him, I don't think I would have liked to have grown up in this age. There are too many temptations, there are too many distractions. People don't read anymore, people don't have conversation anymore. And then he looked at me and he said, I understand clearly what you're saying, but do you realize that if you were in this age, you would not be in Trinidad, you would be a big fish out there? And it made me think that I'm not saying I may have bombed. Like, I keep saying that I'm a big fish in a small pond, and this is why I go to shows, because I want to test myself. I want to test the waters out there. But I think that if I had the opportunity, and I know with my work ethic, my discipline, and whatever talent I had, I would be bigger.
Okay.
I am just saying that.
Favorite model?
Oh, there are so many, for so many different reasons.
Okay. 2.
Favorite models, I'm going to call a model that I think is a supermodel, and many of you don't even know her because she's no longer on the ramp, Sharon Imbert. Sharon Imbert worked with me for years, and she still glides. She's an amazing, and I think on the ramp, Leah Marie as a walk. I mean, they're models of so many different things. They're how they show the clothing, or their height, or yes. But
Right.
I think those would be the 2 I would say. But there are lots. I think I have a group of models who work with me constantly, and I almost feel that they're all great, and they're all very close to my heart.
Which international designer would you like to work with?
Again, for so many different reasons. I would love to work with Yoji Yamamoto. Japanese, that would be my man, because I think my work is very very much like him. And when I showed, or Watanabe, another Japanese, and when I showed once in South America, they came to me and said, you must be a fan of Watanabe. And I said, how did you know? They said, I could just look at your work and see. And I would like to work with probably Dries Van Noten because of his prints. I think those, Jill Sandler, there are a lot of people I like, but I think the Japanese, you know, I would love to be in Miyake's workroom just to see his amazing patterns and understand.
To the startup grind.